What has Pierre said that he's going to attack?
Hey, yeah, nice to meet you. Okay, so listen, I'm gathering from your comment that women's rights are important to you, or that healthcare is important to you, or else you wouldn't be concerned with this type of thing. So I know what Pierre has said and what Pierre has not said, but let's find out what the actual policy declaration in the Conservative Party declaration, which is right here. We're going to actually see what it says in there and what their party stands for. So this is page 5, and this section says, and just keep this in the back of your head, on issues of moral conscience, such as abortion, the definition of marriage, and euthanasia, the Conservative Party acknowledges the diversity of deeply held personal convictions among individual party members and the right of members of Parliament to adopt positions in consultation with their constituents and to vote freely. So what does that mean? Pierre Poilievre has stood there and said he will not put forth any legislation to ban abortion while he is Prime Minister. But that doesn't mean his MPs won't. And if you look at the history and the voting record of all the MPs in the Conservative Party, they all supported restricting the women's right to abortion. Their voting record is public knowledge. You can just go on like the House of Commons website and you can see all the past voting record of all the MPs in the Conservative Party. All of them, every single one that voted to restrict abortion for women. Yeah, every single one. So here's the next thing I want you to read. This is page 12, right here. We support the privatization of crown corporations that compete directly with comparable services from existing private sector institutions. As with anything in the past, Conservatives are all about selling things off. They sold off the CP Rail. They sold off Air Canada. They sold off the Wheat Board to China. They sold, God knows what else. They sold off Canada Post rural access. So now Canada Post doesn't, they've sold off everything. So they support the right to sell off our healthcare as well. And if they sell off our healthcare now becomes privatized. What does that have to do with abortion, you say? Well, first of all, another page. We affirm Canadians have the freedom and right to refuse vaccines for moral, religious, medical, or other reasons. So they're basically saying that people have my body, my choice. Funny how it's not applying when it comes to abortion, though. They have stated on this same page, the Conservative Party also opposes euthanasia and assisted suicide. Now, I'm not sure what your feelings are about that, so that's something you can argue on your own. Page 24. Abortion should be explicitly excluded from Canada's maternal and child health programs in countries where Canadian aid is delivered, since it's extremely divisive and often illegal. Where do you think maternal and child health programs are delivered? In Canada. Side note, on the same page, they talk about prohibiting life-altering medicinal or surgical interventions on minors under 18 to treat gender confusion or dysphoria and encourage positive mental and physical health support for all Canadians suffering from gender dysphoria and related to mental health challenges. Side note. Here's another little one. We support the freedom of religious organizations to refuse or perform unions or allow the use of their facilities for events that are incompatible with their faith and beliefs. Keep that one in the back of your head. So also in the declaration, they state that doctors should be able to make their own personal choice as to whether or not they believe in abortion, or should be able to use their personal choice in whether or not to treat a patient. That is against the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. If medicine is medicine and it's voted in this country that it's medicine, then doctors must abide by that medicine, regardless of their ideological perspective. But Pierre wants to privatize healthcare. And if it's a private business, they reserve the right to refuse service based on their rights and their religions and personal freedoms. Privatize healthcare, allow doctors to make their own choices. All of a sudden now, women don't have access to abortion anymore. And since they voted against birth control, we all know how they feel about children. Yet none of them have actually put any policies forward that would help children that are already born, like, adoption centers and things like that. But I digress. So while you can stand there and say that I will not allow any bill to be passed while I am Prime Minister to restrict abortion, well, that doesn't mean your MPs aren't going to bring it forward. Their ultimate goal is to actually stop embryo research for 3 years because they're concerned about the ethicals of it. They're looking to redefine what a fetus is. They're looking to redefine personhood of a fetus. And if that happens, and it's an extremely slippery slope from there. And what does that slippery slope lead to? exactly what's happening in the United States. A woman was arrested for having a miscarriage. Arrested. She was literally 6 months pregnant and gave birth to the child in the parking lot of an emergency room because they would not perform a D&C for her. They would not take care of her. So she was in the parking lot, had this baby in the parking lot, and ended up putting it in the trash can. I mean, I get it. That might not be the most honorable way, but what was she supposed to do? So now they are charging her with the death of a baby and with indignity to a corpse. There is a woman right now in the United States who is carrying a 4-month-old baby in her belly that is dead. And the doctors will not remove it because they need to wait for a week to make sure it really is gone. In the meantime, this woman could die of infection or a blood clot or a bleed or anything. There are women who are having ectopic pregnancies through no fault of their own, and doctors are petrified to perform the surgery to remove the fetus because the fetus has personhood. So the slippery slope means that women will die over their choices. And if we don't get out and vote, women will die because we did nothing. So no, Pierre didn't say he was going to take away anything. But look at his past voting record. Actions speak louder than words.